Obviously, Zach and I have had a lot of discussions and sometimes debates on the show about whether or not the left should get behind Andrew Yang, or whether or not he's a real leftist, even whether or not his ideas are viable. We've even debated universal basic income, which we obviously have a lot of nuanced feelings on all of that. And overall, I've found myself on the pro Yang side of the debate. I usually find that he's someone who is on the vanguard of leftist thoughts in politics. Came out in favor of basic income, came out in favor of legalizing drugs and sex work. He's generally someone who I find to have very progressive, rhetoric, and I find him to be a very sensible, reasonable, humanistic kind of guy. All that. So I was really, frankly, disappointed to see this, which is a new article Yang put out for Forward, and we can pull it up. Yeah, this is a piece by Andrew Yang, detailing Andrew Yang's vision for New York City's Jewish community, which all sounds good and great, obviously. And there's lots of good flowery language about immigrants and, why they're necessary. And all of that is wonderful. And I, of course, agree with all of it. However, there is one part of this article that is very, very cringy, very not true, very rooted in ignorance. And that is, if not, bigotry, to be frank. And that is this quote: "A Yang administration will push back against the BDS movement, which singles out Israel for unfair economic punishment. Not only is BDS rooted in anti-Semitic thought and history, hearkening back to the fascist boycotts of Jewish businesses, it is also a direct shot at New York City's economy. Strong ties with Israel are essential for a global city such as ours, which boasts the highest Jewish population in the world outside of Israel."
Yeah, look, but I think this is a common conflation, right? Like, Andrew Yang is clearly, operating under the assumption that, what BDS is something that it is not, right? This is the same. Let us remind everybody that BDS is adopting the same exact strategy that was used globally to pressure South Africa to end apartheid. Okay, that is they were pressuring. They were boycotting South African businesses. That there was a global movement. You remember, people who are older will remember U2 was really into it. Like, this was a global effort, right? So to conflate people, using their monetary withholding their money to, bring attention and advocate for change to a tremendous injustice, which is essentially a modern day apartheid state in Gaza and the West Bank, with the Palestinians in Israel, and to conflate that intentionally, and also to play into this, trope where, that is somehow, equated to the Nazis. That's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah, it really is ridiculous, especially considering that if we're going to bring up the Nazis and Hitler and the Holocaust at all, if anything, it would be the Israeli government in this scenario, which takes on the more, fascistic, authoritarian role. And it's the Palestinian people that take on the role of the extremely oppressed and, frankly, the subject of genocide. So it really is a gross and, really uncalled for metaphor in that sense, I think. And again, what really bothers me is that, Andrew Yang says that the BDS movement singles out Israel. What do you mean it singles out Israel? The movement is for Palestinian rights and Palestinian
in Israel.
Yeah, who else would they single out? Who else would the movement for Palestine single out in that?
When they were ending the apartheid state in South Africa, they targeted South Africa.
Exactly. And obviously I'm also supportive of movements against Saudi Arabia, for example. If there's wants to be a movement to help send the Saudi led genocide in Yemen, I'm not going to tell the people of Yemen how they're gonna fight for freedom or fight for liberation. And if they were gonna take on the Saudi government by a BDS style tactic, do you think I would never in a million years say, well, why are you singling out Saudi Arabia? Are you Islamophobic? That would never occur to me. That's an outrageous thing to say to people that are literally under the thumb of a brutal, oppressive state that's quite literally, like you said, enacting an apartheid state, which the entire world eventually had to come together against to help end in South Africa, something that, is so famously taught about, the, heroism of Nelson Mandela, and someone like Andrew Yang, who pretends to be in favor of civil rights and pretends to, speak the language of the left, and now to resort to this disgusting smear that we see in the mainstream media and coming from both political parties mainstream, to see this cowardice in the face of this. Because I mean, obviously he's running for New York City, and obviously there's a large Jewish population in New York City, but frankly, this is cowardice. There's no reason and you didn't have to say this. You didn't have to come out and say with this incorrect terminology. You could have stayed silent at very
And
least.
it low key like conflates like all Jewish people with the people of Israel. Like Israel is its own government. It is its own country. It is not the indicative of like the beliefs of every Jewish individual, because it's a nation, right? So I don't know. I feel like he kind of conflated that in his messaging also. So yeah, all around, just a strike for Andrew Yang for sure, and something to watch.